Well, let's put that to Dr. Asim Malhotra. It's really about education, isn't this? Because if you don't educate people as to why the fizzy drinks are bad for them and you rack up tax on them, they're just going to carry on buying them. And, if we're talking about the poorest in society being the ones who buy these drinks, that's going to hit them hardest and not necessarily improve their health, is it?
Well, actually, I'd like to make a few points. I do agree to some degree with what your caller just said. I think, there are lots of factors involved in the obesity problem. Sugary drinks is one of them. And actually, it's interesting that the data tells us that having one sugary drink per day doubles, increases the risk of diabetes by 100%. So actually, even one sugary drink per day, is a health risk. And the problem we have is what used to be the occasional treat, and there's nothing wrong with having the occasional treat, has now insinuated itself within our daily diet. So that is where the imbalance lies. Now, education, I'm glad you raised this point. Education is extremely important. But, we've been educated to death on obesity or people know what they should be eating, but clearly why do we have this problem? Let me just give you an example. 50% of people who should know better, 50% of people who work for the NHS, so that's 700,000 out of 1.4 million NHS workers, are not overweight, but they're actually obese, 50%. And, I myself, speaking from personal experiences, are constantly having to battle and resist temptations that are around me all the time. Hospitals are littered with junk food. We have an oversupply of cheap sugary food everywhere. So what people haven't fully appreciated is actually the food environment influences our behavior more than we realize. So despite, for example, wishing to lose weight, we're still, impulse marketing, for example, we'll buy the beautifully packaged or the colourful chocolate bar at the checkout till, So this is what we, when we've looked at the evidence over the past 1 year, that's one of the things that we've come to realise is that actually the food environment is key to tackling obesity. And I'll give you another analogy. Education is good, but it's like asking a child or telling a child who grows up in a sweet shop to not eat sweets. Education needs to be done, but we need to do a lot more if we're going to beat this problem.
OK, let's take a quick word with Dr. Dan Poulter. I know you're very busy, Dan, this morning, Conservative Health Minister. Listening to Dr. Malhotra, that if people in the NHS are obese, what chance have the rest of us got?
Well, it's very interesting because when I was a number of hospitals that I have worked at no longer look after their staff in the evenings in terms of actually being able, you can't get anything except out of a vending machine after about 8 p.m. And I think that it's absolutely right that the health service and individual NHS employers have a role to better look after their staff in helping to encourage healthy eating, but also the provision of healthy foods at all times of the day, because the NHS is a 24-hour service, and in a lot of hospitals you can only get something vaguely healthy between 9 and 5, otherwise you're stuck with a vending machine. And I think what that highlights to me is the fact that this is something that there's no, as we said earlier, no one silver bullet to this. It has to be the food industry coming to the table. It has to be schools and hospitals and employers and everybody working together to take this issue seriously, together with government. And I think particularly, there's a very important role, picking up on what the last caller said from Glasgow, about ingraining good, healthy lifestyles and education habits from an early age, and that focus on the early years, supporting mums and families to make the better choice, which is one thing that the government has begun since we've been in government, a real investment in, with additional health visitors and that money that's now going to local authorities to really get into schools to try and engender a more responsible attitude and a better start in life for our children.
Dr. Poulter, thank you very much for being on this morning. Dr. Dan Poulter, Conservative Health Minister. What do you think? 0500 909 693. You can text us 85058. Here's one from, doesn't say, shame on you, Dr. Poulter. This particular texter says, politician first and doctor second. You and your party refuse to do anything which curbs the business activities of the companies producing the unhealthy junk. As a doctor myself, I'm appalled by your stance. You have the opportunity to provide leadership, but instead are led by party loyalty. I just wonder whether there's any way of producing snacks in corner shops or wherever that aren't junk foody, that aren't sugary, that aren't full of fat, that make is healthy eating actually nice? Because that's what everyone says, don't they? They just say, well, I don't enjoy the food. I don't like spinach. I'd rather have a Coke.
Stacey in Aberdeen says, I recently received a letter telling me my 5-year-old daughter is obese. The nurse came to see me to apologise, but said there was nothing she could do about it. My daughter doesn't eat sweets, has never drunk a fizzy drink, and the most unhealthy part of her diet is her school dinner. She swims twice a week, dances for 2 hours after school, attends performing arts school once a week, and mucks out her pony every day. That's active. At school, she gets half an hour a week. Once they've got changed, there's half an hour a week of exercise. Stop parent bashing and think about what support there is for young people in school to adopt a healthy lifestyle, says Stacey in Aberdeen.
Sport in schools, that's another subject, isn't it? I see every single morning, says Lynn in St Ives, the rubbish that children are buying at 8 a.m. in our local shop. The pasties and the chips they're stuffing themselves with at lunch. The takeaways, they're targeting them with cheap deals during and after school. Really? Tell us about examples of that. They've probably consumed their daily calorie allowance before they get home. Call me old-fashioned, but kids have too much disposable income to buy all this junk food, and fizzy drinks are not necessarily to blame. 85058, or you can call us 0500 909 693. Here's the travel news with Orno.
Thank you, Ian. And
Put that pasty down.
Didn't think you'd seen it. In Glasgow, the M74 heading north, one of the lanes has been closed. It's a broken down lorry. It's along the stretch between Junction 1A and Junction 1, where it links with the M8. The West Midlands, the M6 heading north, and Junction 10 at Walsall, one of the lanes has been closed to recover a broken down vehicle. Traffic looking slow on the speed sensors. Bristol, the M5 heading north, and a broken down vehicle in the roadworks section. Junction 17 at Cribbs Causeway to Junction 15, where it links with the M4. And the M25 anti-clockwise. We had an accident. It was around Junction 16, where it joins the M40. It's already been moved to the hard shoulder, but recovery is underway. Queues are backing up from the scene to Junction 21. And in Lincolnshire, the A607 at Harlaxton, just near to High Street, a lorry has overturned. It's blocking the road and recovery underway. Warner Merchant 5 Live Travel.
On Wednesday, I'll be backstage at the UK's most exciting music awards ceremony, the Brit Awards. As preparations are made for an evening of live performance, celebration and excess. From Calvin Harris, Emily Sandé, Adele, Tom... hang on a minute, I haven't finished. Bacon backstage at the Brit. Wednesday from 2.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
This is 5 Live Breakfast. Your call.
We do it all here, music and comment as well, 9:15, or just after actually. I'm Claire McDonnell, myself and Ian Payne are on your call this morning. The question we have for you today is added tax on fizzy drinks the answer to obesity? Call us 0500 909 693 is the phone number, text 85058.
Do you know what I find, sorry to interrupt, do you know what I find really strange about all this is we're doing this phone in saying, should we do this, should we do that? We've already had a government minister on saying we're not considering it.
Yeah.
So this whole report is negated before we've even started.
Not if we hear from the public, Ian.
Okay.
That's what it's all about.
Get the views.
People power. Let's hear from a member of the public now. Leonie. Good morning, Leonie in Surrey.
Good morning.
Do you think shooting the tax on fizzy drinks would make any difference to obesity?
I don't think it will make any difference at all. It's just a little drop in the ocean, and the government seems to do something right. What we need to do really is look at the foods we eat, the amount we eat, when we eat it, and also look at the ingredients, the sugar, the fat and the salt. You talked about fizzy drinks. Now, food sizes of fizzy drinks, all sorts of things like that, have increased in the last 10 years of 20 till 100%. So that's one of the things. And I agree with, actually, I think it was the doctor who said it should all be about education.
Well, it's part of it. This is what this report is recommending, but it's saying we need education, we need all of that, but we also need to do these kind of movements, put up tax on fizzy drinks. That's not the only thing that would help, but if the government moved on that one, it would definitely help.
Yeah, well, I feel it's more important that the children at school get educated about what is actually in the foods they eat. As I said, portion sizes are too big. There's too much sugar, there's too much fat, there's too much salt in the ready-made meals and ready-made products that people buy. And that makes us very unhealthy.
Leonie, thanks for joining us. Leonie there from Surrey. Keep your calls coming in, 0500 909 693.
So, does it make a difference then, taxing fizzy drinks? Robert is in Shropshire. What do you think, Robert?
Hi there, good morning. The